So here we're playing the second turn of this SPI game Eylau, and, well, the French had the opportunity to kind of massively attack, but that's risky and probably not too valuable. You don't want to be rolling on one-to-one table or worse ever in these games if you can help it. So what they're kind of doing is concentrating their attack on the wing and positioning themselves for another attack here. They managed to get one good attack against an Osterman unit that I guess had to fight and wasn't in a good position, a position of the Russian players choosing particularly, because it's holding kind of this corner position, which is crappy. So let's look at what I did here. I moved Murat's cav up. I'm going to have 7, 8. I don't have any artillery to throw in there, but it's 8-1. Make it 10-1 because of the thing. Good stuff. I'll come back after I make the rolls. I don't want to make rolls every time on camera. Okay, so Murat got kind of into a bit of trouble there and actually got an equal elimination, which can happen even up on the 6-1 chart. But on the other hand, Lev was able to defeat this Tot unit. Over here, the weather changed the result from a defender retreat to an attacker retreat, so the French were pushed back. Now we go to the Russian turn, and we just rinse and repeat. Now the Russians have one little problem. They have to make an attack here, and they got to figure out what that means. It may just mean moving an artillery in place because they don't want to make across-the-board attacks, I think, in that area. We'll see. Actually, the Russians chose instead to move this division, leaving a 1-to-1 attack going on here. A little risky, especially separating this off, but they've got good odds up there, and they want to try to wheel their units over instead of being corralled into a more difficult position. So with their one divisional action, they wanted to take advantage of the one place where the French are the weakest. Well, in the French case, they're going to use their divisional fresh strength marker here for this. Because they're facing 14, 18 strength points, well, they've got 7 instead of just 4. And what that means is now this is a 2-to-1 attack. Make it a 1-to-1. It's a 14 strength because of the hill. And it's become a much, much harder fight. Can the Russians do anything about that? 14, 18? Not really, because they're going to face 14. There's no... Some games have a 3-to-2 odds or whatever. This one does not. So they're going to be at 1-to-1. They roll a 5. That's an attack or retreat. Retreat turns into an elimination. Now, artillery doesn't get affected by combat that doesn't happen adjacent to it. But we still lost a lot of Russian units, and that's going to be a killer blow. I might as well roll this one up just to see what's going on, because this is another 1-to-1. It's a 5, attack or retreat, no risk there. That comes there, and now the Russian line is beginning to look weaker as they are being forced out too, which is going to be kind of painful. Alright, well, that's the end of the second turn. It's third turn, it's night. Hey, bonus. The Russians really need this night. They need to regroup. They've taken some heavy, heavy losses. So the French take this night turn in order to kind of try to position themselves a little better, striking up here to Schmoditen with the cav. And cav isn't very useful in this other than that it's a little faster than everything else. And then kind of building a line around and really threatening this cam unit that I'm going to have to get out of there. It's doomed if it doesn't. It's kind of holding the door open right now, but it's got to get out of there. In terms of the Russians, the only thing they have coming in is on turn 7, they get a big old Prussian division on their side. And that'll be down here. The French Guard moved. That doesn't commit it in any way, but I'm just moving it forward so that it can garrison at Eylau in case I want to move forward and make an attack. But there's a danger to using it as a garrison in the front line. I'm going to want to kind of have it not at the very forefront, I think. Anyway, we'll see what happens. And the Russians build up into kind of a classic U shape here. What's the advantage of this? Well, it's keeping them kind of close to Eylau. They could have pulled back completely and tried to form more of a solid line. But this isn't too bad. This is about as far as they could go with everything. They may end up pushing further back as they need to. Right now, if the game were just to end, with what the French hold in Eylau and the points they've done, they have a marginal victory. Now the question is, can Napoleon capitalize on that and get more? Because the Russians are not really attacking. They're positioning themselves, they're jockeying, but they're not really... it doesn't look like they're going to have any full-scale assault in this case. It's likely to win them the battle. So it's up to Napoleon to try to win a more major victory, I think. Okay, here we are at the dawn of February 8th, or, the first turn of it. And we've got French reinforcements coming on B4. We've got Moriarty, I think. His division is going to be coming on from this space up here. And that adds some strength just where the French really need it the most, probably. And now they can launch an attack again. And we'll see what they manage here. The French are having a hard time finding attacks that they want to make, or even expanding where they want to drive forward necessarily. Up here at the Cav, they just don't want to push any further. They're already feeling kind of at risk. This is a heavy force heading their way. Over here, though, they do want to roll this up, and they think they can manage that. They've moved a whole division into place up there. They can only get 2 units on, though, so that's only 8, 9, 10 to 4. That's really a 2-to-1. Cam is going to up that because they want to survive. So now it's 8, 10 to 7. We don't have a bonus unit there. It was used already. So it's a 1-to-1 attack. And likewise here, we're probably going to see the same thing. I'll come back after the fights. Now, this fight went completely to the French. They won, they destroyed Cam, they turned a defender retreat into a defender eliminated. This one didn't switch. It was a defender retreat. Both sides used their fresh strength markers, and it was a 2-to-1 fight still. This unit's moved, this unit's moved back. Now, the French have the option of moving in here, and if they did, 13, 17, 27, they could face something like a 3-to-1 odds against them. That's a little too dangerous, and they wouldn't, they'd almost actually be in danger of being surrounded, which is very bad in these games. They don't want to make the advance here. They've already kind of gained the ground, because for the Russians to attack, they have to move forward and hit the whole line. You don't want to push too far ahead of your line. Anyway, now we're on the Russian turn, and we'll see what they do. Okay, well, the Russians are pushing back, launching attacks all along the line. They want to, really try to throw the French back, and they have to try to make up some ground here. Well, the Russians did not fare very well. They had good odds everywhere, but, for example, here they got an equal eliminated, losing a big unit because they were relying on artillery support. That's kind of things that you can do to screw up, not have units which can take the equal elimination result. Just not thinking carefully, not being used to the style of combat anymore. Otherwise, back here they saw a lot of retreats, so when they did get successful, they didn't want to advance because it just was too painful for them there. And here they saw a lot of their units get retreat results on the French that would have allowed them to get into places like Schmotet and around this edge. But both of them got reversed by 6s, so they affected the attacker retreat instead of the defender retreat. Painful, painful occurrences. That's the end of the turn, and now we get a couple more French units coming in over here. This is up here again. I'm wondering if there should be an extra unit there. No, there shouldn't. There's a nice little order of battle here that has all the units, and it actually gives you the names of the people, which is very cool. So, like King Tut over there is Tutchov, and we have some others that, well, Legrand I should have guessed at. But some of the others I would not know. These are not really names I'm familiar with in a lot of cases. Anyway, that was Friant who I was thinking about there. Well, here it is, getting close to my bedtime, but I'm going to get one more turn in at least. Give me something to dream about. I always like doing that, and this game's short enough that I can squeeze in a turn this way. Anyway, what we see is the French having swung around and, you know, reaching as far as they can with the HEU division, which is Hudele. Trying to get some good odds here. So now they have 8-15 to 7. That's 2 to 1, but that's going to get knocked. Actually, it's 17 to 7. That's going to get knocked down, right? 17 to 10. And the French don't have the unit for that. And that's what we're going to see, is that kind of action going on here. Ooh, actually, no, it's 8, 15 to 10, yeah. So it's going to be 1 to 1, but with the shift because there's 3 units there. All right, anyway, we see some broad base of attacks on this side, but everywhere else they're kind of holding off. They don't want to make the commitment. They can only attack in so many places, and they were forced to along here. Well, it turned out some of these were pretty low odds attacks, and the French ended up taking a lot of retreats, and they're kind of leaving this guy stranded out here. Of course, there's got to be an attack here, which kind of limits a little bit what the Russians can do, but I think we're going to see the Russians come back and maybe do some damage there. And the Russians, remember, got pushed back here, but they still have superiority, so they should still be able to do something there. Well, mixed issues for the Russians. They had a bad exchange here, 4 to 1 losses, but they did manage to kind of cut Murat's troops apart over here, and they're looking kind of weak. Likewise, over here they pushed forward a little bit, and over here as well. So they're kind of throwing the French out of the way, and the guard is exposed here. You don't want to attack that. That's too dangerous. I mean, that's a good way to lose a unit. Let's take a look at what the numbers are, because we're going to send this one up in a moment. So we're looking at 5, 9, 10, 16 French losses to 12, 16. Uh-oh, it's already looking bad, isn't it? 19, 20, 29, 38, 39 Russian losses. So what did we say, 16 French or something? Yeah. That's not a pretty... 39 minus 16 is 23. 23-point difference here. Still in the marginal victory, but we had 10 more, 33. That puts us up to substantial. So the French are beginning to gain more and more. And we're moving up to the 9:30 in the morning turn. And, well, I'll take care of this probably after work tomorrow and finish this game up. And we'll end up doing Dresden as well, I think, because these are kind of short, light, and I don't want to leave them half completed, basically. All right, up this goes.